I don't care what you say. Ole Miss basketball should be ranked right now. They're 15-1, and they're doing more than enough. Yes, they lost in Tennessee. So does a lot of teams. It's the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ole Miss has taken down the Vanderbilt Commodores 69-56 in a nice win for the Rebels in the Pavilion at Ole Miss to go 2-1 in the conference and 15-1 overall. Matthew Murrell ended up with 24 points and 6 rebounds for the Rebels. That was followed by Alan Flanagan having 16 points as well as Juju Murray at 12. So good game. Ole Miss kind of controlled this thing with the exception of a couple of minutes in the second half. Juju Murray hit a three to kind of reassert control for Ole Miss. Ole Miss went on like a 10-0 run over 58 or 98 seconds or something like that. And the game at that point was essentially over. This Ole Miss basketball team is legitimately good. They have LSU coming up, which is a game that will be difficult. LSU's 2-0 going into their game today. I don't know how today's game is gone. But if Ole Miss gets past that one, they're 3-1 going to Neville Arena in Auburn, Alabama, in what will be the next big game in Ole Miss basketball history. Ole Miss, like I said, is 15-1 at the moment and is doing remarkable things. For a team that won, 12 games last year? They've already won 15 this year. So Ole Miss probably needs to go, I don't know, in a ballpark of 7-8 the rest of the way in conference play. And if they do that, they'll make the NCAA tournament no problem. I mean, essentially, if this keeps going, if they keep stacking wins on top of wins, you could be looking at this NCAA tournament as a foregone conclusion type situation. Because if Ole Miss beats LSU and goes to 16-1, and they somehow get past Auburn to go to 17-1, then you've got the quality wins and the record to where essentially the rest of the way you're playing for seeding. If it would take a monumental collapse for that to happen. But looking at the stats for the game, Ole Miss shot about 40%, didn't shoot particularly well. They did shoot 40% from three and 73% from the foul line. It was kind of a one-sided called game. I'm not on the referee bias type train or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that at one point in the second half, Ole Miss had like 8 fouls to Vanderbilt having 1. A lot of that could be it could be contributing to Ole Miss not driving, settling for jump shots. There's a lot of things that could mean, but that's a weird, unbalanced number as well. So I do think Ole Miss deserves to be ranked. Like I said, teams go up to Tennessee and lose all the time. Tennessee, when Ole Miss played them, were number 5 in the conference, and that was a game that was sold out, the first game of conference season, and Ole Miss kind of needed to get popped like that. And looking at it, Ole Miss kind of dropped too far. We'll see if Ole Miss gets back into the poll this week as well. Pretty fired up about everything that's going on right now. So, just like everything else, whenever we do these live streams, whenever you comment, please put where you're watching from in your comments so I can read that on the air as well. And interesting, we'll also talk a little bit about recruiting in the transfer portal if that's something you guys want to do as well. So Andrew Crawford says, hotty toddy from Tupelo. Nathan Rutherford, we left a lot on the court tonight, shooting bad shots and not dishing to the open man. We'll still have a lot to clean up. Either way, it's still a great day to be an Ole Miss Rebel from Ripley, Mississippi. Thank you, Nathan, very much. Hey, Cannon, when was the last time we were 15-1 to start the season? That I don't know. I know the last time that Ole Miss was 13-1 after the Tennessee game, this is not even including the Florida game, would have been 2006-ish, somewhere in that time frame as well. The Caleb Downs tweet retweeted was the fake Caleb Downs. I don't care. That doesn't necessarily matter. People play games all the time. He didn't mention that he was transferring. He just had eye emojis. Jay Cannon is in Lumberton, Mississippi. Now, it's an interesting situation. What's going on basketball wise? It's interesting situation. What's going on in the transfer portal at the moment? I think let's see the players that are on campus at the moment. I think Yam Banks is around. I still think the shark that got put out is Yam Banks related. I mean, a lot of people think it's Brian Brown related, but I don't think they do that for a coach. So I think it's Yam Banks related. Daquan Wright from Virginia Tech is on campus now. So is Kendrick Blacksher. And Ole Miss is going to have a visit from Amorian Walker, who was a cornerback from Michigan after the national championship game. He got in the portal and immediately set a visit up to Ole Miss, and we'll see exactly how that goes as well. Donna Akers says, "Hotty toddy from Pontotoc." We had the number 3 prospect for 2025 visit for basketball. I believe his name is Caleb Holt, if that makes sense. I think that's what On3 is reporting, and I think 24/7 might be there as well. If I get that wrong, I apologize. But yes, there's some massive goodwill that is being done right now with all of the visits that are on board on Ole Miss's campus, both basketball and football. Now, I do like the fact that Ole Miss is going by the phrase Bloxford, BL, and then Oxford, Bloxford, because Jermaine Sharp and Ole Miss leading the nation in block shot. Women's basketball is kind of right there with them, leading the nation, or something like that in block shots. Kind of cool stuff. I like the block. Um, Lots of stuff going on as well. Nathan Rutherford inside Ole Miss. I'm not aware of that one. Who that is? A Blackson verbally committed. I'm not sure how true that is, but the rumor on the count is run by Knox Kiffin. I guarantee you, with the shot that Knox Kiffin was getting emergency room work, he's not running that account. But I'm not saying that Kendrick Blackshire is not going to commit. I'm just saying that I would not doubt that angle as well. Dean from Clinton, hotty toddy, great time to be a Rebel. Sorry, State College. Zachary Teraba, I wonder if we'll see a lineup with Sharp and Cisse on the floor at the same time instead of interchanging. Against Florida, that happened a little bit as well. They did both play at the same time against the Florida Gators. Is there any good news from the players that are on campus this weekend? It's still early on Saturday. Probably won't hear anything until tomorrow. Everybody's assuming that the shark that got put out was for Yam Bank. So other than maybe you hear him announce, and then you have Kendrick Blacksher, who will be here till tomorrow. You have a Marion, what's his name? Sorry, Marion Walker. Sorry about that. Visiting as well coming up, and then you have Daquan Wright. Any of those could pop, honestly. It would not surprise me. It literally would not surprise me if Ole Miss ended up with a commitment from all 4 of them before all of this is said and done. It is that type of situation. And these are big name type players that Ole Miss needs to connect on. They will help the team. They will make Ole Miss's football team better, even though they are not like the Princely Amon Ellen or Walter Nolan type transfer prospects. They're players that Ole Miss needs to keep an eye on and what's going on. A lot of Bama's secondary seems to be in the portal. I wonder if we have a shot on with Pete. I think so. I think the defensive coordinator that just went to Georgia, though, I think it's going to be closer as well. It would not surprise me. Listen, I do not think Ole Miss can even afford Caleb Downs. Okay? I would like Alabama not to have Caleb Downs. I would like no SEC to be completely honest about it. I think Caleb Downs going to end up at Georgia before it's all said and done. You got this 30-day period to where a whole bunch of smoke is going to go either way. I sincerely believe that Caleb Downs is going to end up at Georgia. I just did. The other secondary players, I'm not 100% sure on. If Ole Miss gets Memorial and Walker, I think they might be done in the cornerback position, especially if they get Yam Banks and those. They have a lot of good pieces that they are getting on offense or on defense and in the secondary. So it'll be interesting to see. Nathan Rutherford says Roy Dell had committed to FSU. So if we go after another running back, who do you think it will be? Okay. We're going to go in the weeds a little bit, all right? And I'm not reporting anything. This is all rumors. Everybody wants rumors, I assume, okay? There's two players that Jackson Dart started following on Instagram in the last week or so that were running backs. One is the running back from Penn State that was not Nicholas Singleton, the other guy. That guy was followed on Instagram. And the other one is the running back at Texas Tech who is coming back to school. He would be a one and done. He started getting followed. If you had to ask me, that would be something that we at least need to keep an eye on in the future. Those two players. I forget his name. Just let's see exactly how that goes. I know this is a horrible pod, and I'm just going to look up the names real quick. So let's see. I think you have the running back Taj Brooks at Texas Tech, and you have Katron Allen, who was recorded from Penn State. Other players that have been recently followed include, let's see, who is Nathaniel Klepo from Washington, and he also is following Jabbar Muhammad from Washington, and another player from Washington. Just something to keep an eye on. Again, nothing may come of it. Nothing may come of it, but this is a good face for kind of reading the tea leaves of what's going on and where they might be looking, my opinion. Zachary Turber, could you see us getting a random quarterback in the portal, or Simmons and Howard locked in as the backup? I think quarterback room is done. I think any quarterback that Ole Miss signs is kind of a wasted money type situation. Walker Howard is ready to be the dude. On an even more personal note, has anybody heard how Knox Kiffin is doing? Saw he was in the hospital. No, I have not. But the fact that probably we haven't means that he's likely fine, honestly. But transfer portal wise, that's what we're looking at. And I get that this is kind of a secret live stream that everybody's watching because people tune in for the thumbnail, and we didn't do a football part of the thumbnail. But just know that if we're live stream, it's kind of open season on talking about everything, because we're at the point where we're excited about where Ole Miss basketball is, but Ole Miss was an 11-point favorite over the Vanderbilt Commodores. Move on to LSU, get that win. Let's concentrate on that. And then the transfer portal is the big story of the day, honestly. Let's see. Garvin Keynes from South Haven, Mississippi. Zachary Turban. Any news you know about the baseball team? Elliott is out for the year. My knowledge, yes, Elliott is done for the year. The baseball team, though, if you look at like D1 baseball, they're pretty excited about the transfers, and we'll get on them and talking with Derek Vandy, Cliff, and all that as the baseball season gets closer. We're about a month away, honestly, from it being real. Joey Freeman, is Damani Jackson staying at Bama? I do not know. I do not know. That's a situation to where, yeah, it's a weird situation, and you might see Ole Miss circle back in that competition. You might see Michigan, although Michigan was in the top 3 with Alabama, and they don't know what's going to happen with Jim Harbaugh. And we'll see exactly how that goes as well. So, Yeah, big win on the basketball court today. Transfer portal is going absolutely nuts. Daquan Wright, Kendrick Blackshear, Yam Bank, Amorian Walker, those players, big potential positions and players for this recruiting cycle for Ole Miss to pay attention to. Like I said, it would not surprise me if Ole Miss got commitments from all of them. It would not surprise me if they only got commitments from one of them, but I do expect one of those four to commit at some point, but just mainly because we got a shark. Let's see. Andrew Crawford says, "Is there a timeline for Logan Diggs' recovery?" I've heard the end of the non-conference season, him being back to 100%. ACLs can be tricky injuries, so I would add a month to that and give him off out the last 4 games in the schedule. So, I think Ole Miss is going to try and find another running back. I gave a couple of names in this podcast that had followed. Jackson Dart followed recently, that are seemingly unrelated. So we'll see exactly how that goes. I mean, I'm pretty fired up indeed. We're going to keep this going just for a little bit longer. This is a typical postcast, and this is what we're going to try and do after basketball games. It's just a 15, 20, 25-minute podcast, postcast, live stream to talk about exactly what's going on. I'm very impressed with what Chris Beards has been able to do in year one. 15-1. I think this is the longest streak in the history of the Pavilion. I think they've won 13 games in a row in the Pavilion. It's becoming a little bit of a fortress and a hard place to play and all of that stuff. I think I saw that on Twitter. So we'll pay attention to what's going on there. And inside the SEC, the more you can stack wins on top of stacking wins, the better off you're going to be. And I'm pretty fired up to see what can happen. Got LSU coming up. I guess that's Wednesday night. We'll have Tim Thomas at the end of the week getting ready for the Auburn game. He will pop on the show as well, and we'll talk about the Vandy game and the LSU game and get ready and preview it for Auburn. But Ole Miss's basketball team is in a position to do something pretty exciting. They're 15-1 right now. They should be ranked. They're not ranked. They absolutely should be ranked. But it's a situation where on Monday, they probably will be ranked. And if they're not, okay, they will be after next week. And you have LSU. If you can get that win, that could be an impressive thing. And then you have Auburn, which is the next big game on Ole Miss's basketball schedule. Zachary Turber, thank you for being on every day on Miss Podcast. Love the consistency and how well you put together the show. Day one listener here. Thank you very much, Zach. Very much. And but this is what we're doing. We're trying to get this YouTube channel integrated with our Discord server. And in that Discord server, we're going to offer some extra type stuff that people can subscribe to. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but until then, it's kind of like, I don't know, view it as a tip or whatever, if that's something you want to do. If not, the price isn't going to go up and you'll always be able to check the Locked On this podcast. But we're going to integrate that and figure out how we can do that with Discord and to set that up to honestly continue to make the Locked On Ole Miss community the best community in Ole Miss sports, which is our goal. And we will always work towards that. So just bear with us and we'll get that done as well. We'll answer a few more questions, then we'll get out of here. Tennessee committed to UCF. Did we try to fill that position? We are. Kendrick Blackshear is on campus today. Joey Freeman, I'm ready to see the spring game. We are all. I think that there's going to be some people at that game. Nathan Rutherford, love your podcast, and every day you're here. Hopefully, we'll meet you in Oxford this year. The plan is this is the plan. If Ole Miss hosts a playoff game, I am starting to set up logistics, and everybody's like, "No, Steve, you're putting the cart ahead of the horse." Well, I have to. Logistics have to be planned, but it doesn't matter. But if that happens, I'm going to be broadcasting from Ole Miss the week of the playoff. That is my goal. And we're going to there's a lot of stuff in the fire, and over the course of the next year, we could potentially be telling you more about that as well. Saw where Sanders threw a TD in the Hula Bowl. Good for Spencer. Seriously, good for him. Basically, what is the best way to get involved in the Discord group? John Baker asked, and that is real simple. Just go to X. The link might be in the description, but if it's not, go to X. I put the link out there with every show when I put that on there. It's on Facebook. It's on all the socials. I put that out. Go into there, click on that, and just join the Discord group. It costs no money. I think it's going to be the best community in the Ole Miss sphere, and that is because we emphasize fun over all else, and we don't handle trolling at all if we can help it. So yeah, join it. You're welcome to see it all. We're trying to Nicolas Cage players that Lane Kiffin were in Dallas and Jacksonville seeing, and all of that stuff as well. So yeah, join that group. It should be really good. Speak it into existence. Yes, I'm going to keep talking about that. I'm the type person that aggravates the heck out of normal fans that are super superstitious, because I am a person that believes in speaking it into existence. John Baker says, "Thank you, brother. Hotty toddy." Yes, hotty toddy indeed. All right, I'm gonna get out of here for the weekend. Tomorrow's show, we have Max Torres talking recruiting. I think we're going to talk a Kylan Deere, Caleb Cunningham, and Andrew Maddox as far as recruiting the rest of the 2025 class. This will be Mac's first appearance on the program. So be nice to him, but it's a situation where we might have him back a little bit, a few more times, along with Brian Smith, just adding another voice for people to check out information. And so you don't have to take my word for it, essentially. But until next time, I hope everybody has a good weekend. We'll talk to you later. Hotty toddy.